direct from the web, it's Billy Masters Live. And now, please welcome your host, Billy Masters.
Oh, what a show we have today. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Billy Masters Live. I am, of course, your host, Billy Masters. And can I just say, this is just like such an exciting show. Hold on. Somebody is not taking care of things in the tech department. And my special guest and I were just talking about the fact that we need a lot of help. Okay. Thank God. Okay. Welcome to Billy Masters Live. I am Billy Masters. Today is, of course, Tuesday, September 29th. Is it really? Oh my God, it is. It's Tuesday, September 29th. This is our 55th show. So that's like, I don't know, 27 weeks of quarantine. I mean, it's been incredible. Thank you, Monica. You can take the, thank you. And we, first off, I am still in Boston, obviously, during the quarantine. And you know how the last couple of weeks I was complaining that it has been getting cold. Believe it or not, it has been getting down to the low 40s at night. And I am not built for this cold weather. But the last couple, I guess like 4 days, it has been in the high 70s and 80s. So I don't know, global warming. So I am sticking it out here in Boston. I will be back to West Hollywood soon, people. I swear I will. But no matter where I am, we still can do Billy Masters Live and keep you guys entertained. And you are going to be so entertained by today's show because we've had a lot of great people on this show. And so far, I think, I don't want to say, I hate to play favorites. I don't want to say that anyone is my favorite guest. We've had some favorite guests. We have certainly not had some non-favorite guests. This is going to be right up there with one of the best shows we've done. And the reason I know it, there's two reasons, actually. Number one, because when I do prep for a show, there are some people that I get excited about and I say, oh, I can't wait to do the show. And then you start doing the prep and your excitement starts to go down because you don't learn anything new. This show, I have learned so much new about this guest that I got excited repeatedly all over again. So we have, of course, the fabulous, iconic Loni Anderson is here. And we'll get to her in a moment, but actually we're going to get to her kind of right from the beginning, because as you know, at the very beginning of the show, I like to share a personal anecdote from the past of somebody I've met or an occasion. And I met Loni Anderson 15 years ago, maybe. They had started shooting So NoTORIous with Tori Spelling, which was so ahead of its time in a certain way. And we'll get to that. And I had been approached. I was writing my syndicated weekly column, and I had been approached and asked if I would be open to appearing on the show as like a gossip columnist type of person. And I said, we could talk about it. And we had a meeting and it was interesting, but nobody really had a idea really of what the character would be. And while we were discussing it, it was the premiere of the series. And so I was invited to the premiere party and I was asked if I would like to meet Tori and Loni. Well, I had met Tori before at some event and I found a photo with Tori. Look how tanned I was. And this is at some upfronts. I don't really remember where. I want to say it was the WB, but I'm not sure. But then all of a sudden, what I remember is that there was some sort of a staircase, and she may remember this. There was a staircase, and Loni Anderson at this party suddenly appeared at the top of a staircase. And there are people who you meet who are performers who blend into the crowd and are just regular people. Then there are people you meet that just their presence in a room changes the electricity in the room. And even if you don't see them, you feel them. And that was what it was like when Loni entered this room. And she was at the top. It didn't hurt that she was at the top of a staircase. with the spotlight on her. And so she came down and she was it's one of those working premiere parties for the talent are never fun because it's a working night. You have to meet everybody. You have to repeat the same story 100 times and you have to make it appear fresh and exciting and new. Even if you are excited, you still have to bump it up. And Loni came over to me and I will never forget that she is somebody who looks you right in the eyes and has this ability to make you feel like you are the only person in the room, even while there's a million people jockeying for position. So while this is not a great photo and it's a very slow resolution, there we are. That's me and Loni Anderson. And a better picture from that night was this photo with Loni and Tori. So it just proves that we were all in the same room at the same time. And it was very brief, but she made an impact on me. And it made me completely rethink who Loni Anderson was, because I suddenly in that moment realized what star power is and what presence is. And before this show, we had a little chat, and it is able to come through a webcam, and I'm thrilled to welcome to Billy Masters Live, Loni Anderson.
Thank you so much. Oh, what a lovely introduction. And what
look at you, so gorgeous.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you.
Like it's like you're going to a premiere.
I know.
And when was the last time you did that?
Got all fixed up for you because in quarantine, I let my roots grow out. They're black, by the way. Not that was ever a secret, but that they still are black and not gray was a real surprise. And then today I got to blow dry my hair and put some lips on and mascara and everything. So thank you. It was really fun.
Well, it's funny because when I was writing with your manager and we talked about this, I think like July 4th, and she had said to me, she said, Loni would love to do it, and I don't know if you know this, she is not a natural blonde. I went, no. And she said, and I don't think Loni will mind me telling you. I said, no, I don't think so. So what have you done in quarantine? I mean, have you been able to do anything?
Here's the thing about quarantine. Yeah. I really like my husband. That's, he is so fun and funny. I met him when I was 17 years old first, because I was a big fan of the Brothers Four and he's a member of the Brothers Four. And he's so cute at lunch that I said to my mom after meeting him, if I married him, he would be more fun than TV. I wouldn't even need a TV. And you know what? That is true to this day. All these years later, that was in 1963.
And how did you meet him? I mean, how do you find yourself with a folk singer all of a sudden at lunch?
That's funny. I was in high school, and my weekend job is I worked for, I guess they would have been the paparazzi of the local newspapers, the
really
Minneapolis and St. Paul, the Star and Tribune. And they would say, oh, there's a celebrity. A lot of premieres happened in Minneapolis. And there was always some celebrity coming through town. And these photographers would want to take pictures of them. And they said, we're more likely for the newspaper to buy our photograph if there's a cute girl in it.
Yeah,
so
sure.
I was like the hired fan. And so I get it all fixed up. I didn't look like any of the other fans. And, pile my hair up on my head. And this is the 60s. And go and stand next to, like Richard Beymer when they opened West Side Story, he came.
Oh, wow.
Yes. So I have pictures with all of these famous people. And so one Saturday they said, there's a movie premiere called 55 Days of Peking. And it was starring Ava Gardner and Charlton Heston. But the music was done by the Brothers Four. And they were celebrity guests for the premiere. And so here I met these four guys who were, had been fraternity brothers, and that's why they were called Brothers Four. So they're about 24 years old or something, and they were all cute and flirtatious, especially the one. And so of course I didn't want to seem like a baby. So when they asked me where I went to school, I just made up a whole fantasy. I said I went to the University of Minnesota and I was an art major and I was a senior, and I had this whole thing, because if I told them I was just in high school, they would have just, I was a little girl, right? And
Sure.
so my husband said our entire relationship started with a lie.
But you were an actress even then. You created a backstory for your character. I mean, you did the work.
I did. And
did you want to be an actress at that point?
Since the time I can remember breathing.
Really?
When we got our TV, and I remember my grandparents taking me to, my very first movie was Cinderella, Disney's animated version.
The animated, right?
Yeah. And then I thought, oh, I want to do that. And so I would watch TV, and then I would act out the part in my bedroom. And then I thought I was so cute that I started putting on shows in the garage when I was 6, and I charged the neighbors a nickel. You know,
always a businesswoman, Loni.
And I got the rest of the kids in the neighborhood, and we would do songs, and we had costumes and stuff. So, yeah, from the beginning.
And were you ambitious? Did you know that it wasn't going to be like local, like you had your eye on Hollywood?
I did. And, and I have to say, my parents shot me down.
Really?
Yeah. Well, my mom was a wonderful homemaker and had been a model. So she was a pretty woman, but you made the best match. That was that generation, I'm
a model in St. Paul. So she was local.
Yeah, she was local. So, and my dad was a chemical engineer.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they were, just regular middle class people who said, make a good match. We have pretty daughters. I have a sister. And the best part about that is that you'll, you can make the best match. And I was like, no, I have other plans. And she was always telling me, as my dad was, get real, get realistic. This is what your life is going to be. Girls don't go to college. My dad said, I'm kind of offended that you don't want to marry somebody like me, that isn't your goal. And so I kept it to myself. And I did I joined theater groups, and that was my hobby.
Was there anybody in your town or that you knew who was like a roadmap of what you would follow, or did you have to blaze your own trail?
I had to blaze my own trail, but I had a wonderful commercial agent eventually in Minnesota. Her name was Ellie Moore, and she was the one who got me really out there doing local commercials. And yeah, so I have one that we just discovered recently that I'd forgotten all about. My assistant Linda found it. Uncle John's Pancake House. I'm playing a piano in a gown, and oh my gosh. So of course this is all with my dark hair. And I did industrial shows, and they were very big. I did the Maytag Repairman was Jesse White at that time. We did a whole industrial presentation for Maytag together. And so, I was on the radio and I was on local TV. I was your no frost Eskimo on the news who, picked out who's the winner of the Frigidaire, whatever it was, for Minnie Gasco at the time. And so that was me, your local showgirl. And
what got you out of there? There must have been something.
Okay. So here's the deal. I met a guy, married him in 2 weeks, and sex in the, I'm the marcher. I'm the women's liberal. We're talking my generation was out there fighting for women's rights, but you didn't have sex until you got married.
Right.
So, when I was 18, I thought I wanted to have sex. So I married this guy that I knew for 2 weeks.
So you married him just for the sex?
I married him for the sex. And then after the weekend, I didn't like him, I realized. And so so I got divorced. So now
this is the guy, I got to interrupt you. This is the guy who you said that the honeymoon night, the sex was not good. It was disastrous.
Yes.
What happened, if you don't mind?
I don't know. I had no experience. I didn't know what to expect. So I was very disappointed. So
but
nothing was working about this relationship at all.
Was he the one? He's the father of your daughter?
Yes.
But he also said that, how could I be the father when we never did it?
Well, it was kind of like the not quite happening. Young sperm, as long as they don't touch the air, are very active, and the doctors and everybody, it's like the virgin birth. So everybody.
Yeah, because I'm thinking to myself, Loni, I've heard about an immaculate conception in another book, and I didn't buy that either.
I know. It was close. Close. But yeah, it was a pretty.
He had powerful swimmers, is what you're telling me.
Powerful swimmers. And as the doctor said to me, you don't have to be completely penetrated for this to happen. And just so there's no air, and you've got those young swimmers. And I was like, what? I mean, I didn't know anything.
Did you eventually enjoy sex with somebody?
Eventually, but it took a long time.
Really?
Yeah, I was not ready to try sex with anybody else. I was pregnant, getting a divorce. I'd made a terrible mistake. Oh my God, what am I going to do? My grandma told me nobody will ever want you. You're just.
And want to get a divorce and be a single mother, which has got to be very hard at that point. And want a career.
And so then I said, well, I want to go back to school. And my dad said, well, you've made this adult decision to be a parent. Yeah. And so we will not be paying for your education. But
really,
here's the deal. We'll let you live with us and we'll babysit. But you'll have
built-in babysitters.
Yes. So
and a house.
Yeah, and a house. So I'm at home, but I had to have a full-time job and go to school.
Well, how do you do that?
Oh my God. It was, being through that, at the end of it, my dad said to me, I'm sorry that I didn't help you, but I think I made you a strong person. And I said, you did. There's nothing I can't do now.
So that made you almost fearless.
Yeah.
That, like, going to Hollywood and being rejected time after time is nothing after this.
Nothing compared to going to school as a divorced mother and having the sorority girls just rush away from you as fast as they can. And,
you have a kid.
Yeah. And then having the guys think that you were easy because you already had a child, so you'd be an easy, target. And so it was hard for me to find a place. So all I did was study and go to work and be a mom.
What were you studying?
I studied education. So because you have to be practical when you're a mom. You can't. I was in the theater department. That's where I found my friends and everything. But my major was art education, which, in the high schools in my era, there you could teach art. I mean, you could take an art class.
Right.
It doesn't even exist I would be out. Public schools do not have art anymore.
No arts.
One of my crusades. So no arts. And so anyway, I got a degree in education. And,
so you thought like you'd become a teacher, because at that time, I guess women, and particularly mothers, became teachers, nurses, secretaries. Like that was it.
That was it. And that I would do my acting as my hobby. And then, of course, I had that wonderful Ellie Moore, and she would be out there, telling me, oh, here's one, it's going to go to the 5-state area, this commercial, it's bigger, a little bit more money. And so then there was a casting call for Born Yesterday. Now,
the play or the film?
Yeah, the play.
Okay.
At a local dinner theater,
okay,
which was an equity house. So this is equity.
In the union.
This is a union. I was not in the union. I was doing theater as my hobby and teaching at a girls' school.
So you did have a job at this point.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
So I thought, if I could just get an equity card, I could audition for things like this. Well, they couldn't find an actress in town who had an equity card that they thought was right for the part. So they opened it up with a big newspaper ad and said, everybody can come and audition for this, but you will have to join equity.
Right. So it was like an open call.
Yeah. So your salary will then go to pay your dues, and then you'll be an equity. Right. So I went out and didn't have much money because everything I made went for my daughter and I, and paying off school loans, whatever it was. And
I'm sure there's also a lot of people at an open call.
Yeah, lots, full lobby. But I bought a blonde wig, I think, for about $9.95 at the thrift place, you know. And I put it on because I thought, oh, if they see me and they realize that I really have dark hair, I won't get this part. Right. And but while I was at the University of Minnesota, I was on a thing called the Showboat, and it was an actual boat on the river, and we did theater, and I had done a dumb blonde role, and so I had the voice, and so I had it all down. So now all I needed was the little cheap blonde wig, and I went in and sat in the lobby and waited for my turn. And later I heard from the director, his assistant had said, I think your Billy Dawn is in the lobby, but she's a little young. And so when I came in, they had already been talking about me. And, you know, I did my audition and they said, you got the part. And now there it is. I mean, it seemed to me like it was an overnight success. I got incredible
it sure sounds like it.
Reviews in all the papers. I never took my wig off, not even for rehearsals. I never let them see that I was a brunette.
And you never felt like, oh, I'll dye it because now I got the role. I can dye it.
No. I just thought I'll just wear this wig, and and they'll never know, and I don't want them to fire me. And so I stayed in the blonde wig, and I got on opening night. This is just like one of my thrilling moments. You know, you have those thrilling moments in your life that you'll never forget. I got a standing ovation at the beginning of the second act.
Wow.
So I thought, oh, this is it. I'll never have to worry again. I am like a star, right? And everybody will be clamoring for me. And so, but that's not the way show business works. But anyway, it was a huge success. And after opening night with the standing ovation at the beginning of the second act, and we were all celebrating backstage, I whipped my wig off. Everybody was like, oh my God. And I said to the director, okay, tell me truthfully, if you had seen me, no matter what I did, for, you know, and you thought I did a good job acting and everything, would you have hired me? And he said, to tell you the truth, probably not.
See?
So there it is.
And so at that, when do you decide, oh, maybe I should be blonde?
Not for another 10 years.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So if you needed to be blonde, you would wear a wig even after that.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, it fooled them.
I was this brunette exotic. I had aspirations to be this serious brunette, you know, like sexy, mysterious, and dangerous.
Like a Hedy Lamarr.
Oh my gosh, yes. And so that was the plan. This was not the plan. You know,
but what I found about you going, you know, because again, I spent so much time looking at footage of you, and what I found, you know, and I mean this as a compliment, so hopefully you'll take it as a compliment. I don't ever see you as the dumb blonde. You really forged this path that I hadn't seen before. And certainly when we saw WKRP and certain things, it was the first time mass audiences saw someone who built like the dumb blonde who was really smart. And I thought to myself, I don't know if this was by design or not, but you really made a whole new niche for yourself.
I did. I am so proud of that. And Hugh Wilson, who created WKRP, was my cohort. Because I had been a brunette actress, and, you know, I did Fiddler on the Roof for 53 weeks. And, you know, I came from a whole...
I didn't know that. Who did you play in Fiddler?
Seidel, the bride.
Oh, one of the daughters.
Yeah, one of the daughters. We were all interchangeable. We traveled all over. So I had experience being this brunette actress. And so I didn't even want to go into audition for WKRP because I thought it was a dumb blonde role. And
is that how it was written originally?
Kind of like window dressing.
Oh, wow.
And so I turned it down. I turned down the audition. And
you didn't even go in.
I didn't even go in. And finally, my agent, a wise man, said, you know, if you don't go in, this is MTM. They do a lot of shows. You know, they can see you. You can say how you feel about the blonde thing, and then just say, I hope you consider me for something else.
And at least you'll be seen.
And you'll be seen, you know. And so I had not prepared because I didn't think the lines fit what I had in mind. And I had this little soapbox thing going, you know, and I was going to give my speech. And I met on a Saturday with Grant Tinker and Hugh Wilson.
Wow.
Tinker, you know, was the head of MTM at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And I gave them my speech about how I thought this was my crusade in life, is that as a glamorous woman, no matter what color your hair is, that you should be intelligent
mm-hmm.
and equal and all of those things. And being pretty doesn't take your brain away, you know, and I have a mission. And this is my mission. And thank you very much for seeing me. And you know, did my little thing. And I hope you have me back again for something else. And it was lovely to meet you. And so then Grant Tinker looked at me and said, well, how would you do it? Well, now I'm, you know, like I'm thinking.
And had you even thought about that?
No. And so I'm thinking, oh my God. And he said, well, just read the lines. I said, well, the lines don't, you know, really lend themselves to what I have in mind. Well, do it anyway, he said. And now I think, talk about blowing it. You know, so I did the lines the way I thought they should be done, but they weren't right. You know, you can tell when the writing doesn't match the reading.
Sure.
Dead silence in the room when I finish. I'm thinking I will never work for MTM ever. Again, they will never have me back. This is it. Thank you very much, Miss Anderson. Goodbye. I went to my car. Now, this is before cell phones.
Mm-hmm.
And I just had a really good cry in the parking lot because I thought that's the end for me at MTM. So now I pull myself together. I drive home. By the time I got home, my husband, an actor at the time that I was married to, said, you got your agent called. Call him right back. So I called him and he said, you start Monday.
Really?
Oh my God. But they, you know, Hugh Wilson wants to talk to you. They want you to be blonde. So then I talked to Hugh about it. And Hugh said, this is what I want. You gave me, it's just great. You and I together. She's going to look like Lana Turner and be the smartest person in the room.
Oh, wow.
We are going to make some waves. And, I was just so thrilled. I was thrilled. Yeah.
Yeah. What I found in watching the videos over and over is I thought to myself, you know, she's almost like the puppet master, that she is the power behind the throne. And, you know, there isn't even the wink to the camera like, oh, I'm going to play stupid, but I'm not. She doesn't, it's not veiled at all. And it's a character that we really had never seen. And nobody is hiding that body or that face. I mean, she's also got the goods in the window and the hair.
No, we didn't hide anything. We went for
owning her femininity.
Yeah. And what I love over the years, because that was 1978 when we premiered, is that I knew so many women who were influenced by the fact that they got to be pretty and smart, that they didn't have to pretend anymore. And so to me, having women fans is just what a bonus.
Oh God. And I think that it was really the first time they ever saw something like that.
Yep. It's funny for young girls to look back now and say, what, you know, but we paved the way in 1978 for you to be pretty and smart at the same time.
I found a clip. I always look for lots of clips, and I thought this was really such a sweet scene. So I'm going to just show this clip and then we'll talk about it.
Okay.
Morning, Jennifer.
Oh, good morning, Mr. Carlson.
Anything I need to deal with?
Of course not.
Well, in that case...
You don't want to be disturbed.
Feeling better, Fever?
Yeah, thank you. I had about 17 hours straight sleep. I think I'm seeing what I'm supposed to see.
Don't go changing. Try and please me.
You've never let me down before.
You were terrific last night.
You too.
Thanks for the drinks.
My pleasure.
I just wanted someone to talk to. I like you just the way you are.
That whole episode is such an extraordinary episode for you because we really see this tender side where you can flip a situation.
Well, I have to tell you that that's the episode in which Frank Bonner, Herb Tarlett, and I got these fan letters from Jack Lemmon.
Really?
He just was blown away by that episode and the scene that the two of us played in my apartment.
Which, so people know, Frank has always been lusting after you. And so you decide, if I throw myself at him, it's going to diffuse the situation.
Yeah.
Right.
And of course, it ends up to be this sweet relationship because he really did just want someone to talk to. And it's just a touching scene right in the middle of, this. Well, WKRP was never a yuck, 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 joke, joke, joke show. The humor and the sensitivity came out of the story, but the funny came out of the story, not out of the joke.
Right.
And so for Hugh to write a scene so touching in the middle of a half-hour comedy, what a gift, And
it was like a little one-act play. Because you're in your apartment and it goes back and forth so many times, and it is just the two of you. So it's a great scene. I think people should. I mean, if they were going to look up one, it's a season 2, I believe.
Yes.
So look it up. It's a great scene.
Thank you. I love that because if you would ask me what was one of my favorite things, I would say that.
Oh well, good. All right, good. Let's see if we can keep this going.
We also got a note from Steve Allen.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And Steve Allen and I went way back to before WKRP. I did a Love Boat. And I was experimenting with my hair. It was kind of like light brown or something. And I went through a lot of hair colors, red. Barbie Jones, if you see a redhead, it reminds you of me. It is me. But anyway, on Love Boat, I did play a ditzy character.
Oh, really?
Yes. And a Barbie, like a Barbie doll.
Oh, I missed that.
Anyway, so I'm doing this little character and the crew is cracking up, because there's nothing better than a dumb blonde voice. I mean, it's a winner every time. It's a home run. So I'm doing my thing, the crew, the cast, everyone's hysterically laughing. Steve Allen he's in his tuxedo, we're in gowns, fantasy land.
Right.
And so he took me aside and I thought he was going to say something like, you are so, and he did. He said, you are so funny and you do this so well, you must stop.
Really?
Never do anything else. Best advice I ever got.
Well, that also, I think it shows the versatility because, and people are going to laugh at me when I say this, but everything I seen you do last night, and there were like a lot of things, every character had a different voice, as they're going to notice in the clips I show, that you're like the Meryl Streep of television. I mean, there's accents and voices that are so specific to the character, which I never would have thought of because it's so integrated into the performance. It's not like, look at me doing a voice. It's very authentic.
Thank you very much for noticing that. I think you're the first person who has ever really paid attention to that. Thank you.
Oh, well, people are going to pay attention today because we've got so many different voices. So after seeing that clip, I started thinking to myself, back in that time, particularly, beautiful young women also had nightclub acts and shows. And I didn't remember you singing until I saw that clip. So I said, I wonder if Loni Anderson sings. And I found this clip from, I guess it's a made-for-TV movie called Sizzle.
With John Forsythe for Aaron Spelling. Aaron Spelling.
For Aaron Spelling. And I found this clip. So let's look at another little clip of Loni in action.
Okay.
More than you know, more than you know, man of my heart, I love you so. Lately I find you're on my mind, more than you know. Whether you're right, whether you're wrong, man of my heart, I'll string along. You need me so, more than you'll ever know.
Was that Leslie Uggams?
That was Leslie Uggams. Yes.
Come on, you're singing in front of Leslie Uggams.
I know it, and that was part of the that we were rivals but friends, and it was Chicago in the 20s, and oh my gosh, John Forsythe was like the mob guy.
Yeah, he looks it.
Oh yeah, and I got sent to prison where I was sold and raped, and I came out of prison, and I said nobody's gonna stand in my way, and I became this nightclub performer, and Leslie and I brought down John Forsythe, and
there you go. Well, they were
no, a spoiler alert, that Al Capone comes to me and says, you're pretty much something. So do you want to into partnership with me? And I say, no. And he said, because there's nobody in town bigger than me. And I say, not yet.
Oh, so ballsy.
No. So Aaron Spelling wanted to do a series of this.
Oh.
And because WKRP was kind of on the fence that year, rating. Mm-hmm. And so he was all ready to go with Julie's Place, it was going to be called. And WKRP got picked back up. So that's why there's no Julie's Place.
And it's an interesting movie that you do at least 3 songs that I saw, and each one is completely different. I mean, talk about different voices. One is an up-tempo, sort of like blonde bombshell kind of song. Then there's a torch song that we just saw there, and then there's something kind of mid-tempo. And even in one movie, there's different voices.
Yay.
Did you ever do a nightclub act? Did you ever have a variety show that I don't know about?
Well, and I had been asked. George Burns asked me if I would open for him, and so did Rich Little.
Oh, wow.
In the early days. And I always thought of myself as an actress who sang, not a singer who acts. And that I was more of a, stage actress who could sing. And so I think I was, now I kind of regret it because I should have tried it, but I was a little afraid.
Because, it's funny. There were so many at that time, like the Suzanne Summers, the Anne Margarets, all of them. Yeah. And then another thing I didn't know, that you were up for the part of Chrissy Snow in Three's Company, which I cannot see. I cannot see you doing that.
No, and the whole brunette me. I have to tell you something funny that John Ritter said, because we auditioned. We got the final 3. It was Suzanne, I think Joanna Kearns, who then went on to do the show with Alan Thicke.
Right.
And what was that? Family Ties? No.
Family Ties. Yep.
And she was so wonderful, and she was blonde, and Suzanne was blonde, and I was brunette. And John and I were really, really good friends from that time on, from when I met him. And he said, you know what? Nobody believes that you wouldn't be able to come up with the money for the rent. So that's what I heard. But I did guest on the show right before
Yes,
it
second
started.
season. I saw that, and I thought to myself, I think that it takes a certain actress to play that Chrissy Snow part, and I think it would have been a completely different character had you done
Yeah.
it.
No, Suzanne was perfect. She was perfect.
And again, it's funny how things come full circle, because a good friend of mine is Ray Buchanica, who, of course, was in the Jayne Mansfield Story with you,
Yes.
and at that time had been with Joyce DeWitt.
Yep.
So
We're all so incestuous in this. Our town was so much smaller than it is now.
It's funny is Ray's girlfriend texted me last night, and she said back then we all knew each other. She said the exact same thing.
Exactly. Because first of all, there are only 3 hours of programming on TV.
On 3 networks.
On 3 networks. So
Right.
everybody knew everybody. We all went to the same events, and we got together, and it was much more of a family than. And now I could have a best friend on in a show for 10 years. I'd never even know.
Well, I think that, it goes back to you auditioning for Grant Tinker, that once you're seen by somebody, even if you don't get that job, that person is connected to every other job in town.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So let's go to now the Jayne Mansfield Story, which again is another fascinating performance, because so much of the character in a completely parallel world could have been your story.
Yes.
Because and I didn't realize how similar the stories were. Small town girl, brunette, breaks through as a blonde, but again makes a different choice than you would have made, which was play the game. It was also a different time. Play the game, and then got caught up in the game, which destroyed her.
Which destroyed her. Yep.
It's almost could have been a cautionary tale for Loni Anderson. And at the time, did you really look at it that way?
I did. I mean, when I was especially studying up on her, when I was offered the part, I thought, oh my gosh, this could have been me. This is so easily could have been me. The head of the theater department at the University of Minnesota, when I was doing the Showboat, took me out for a little rowing. Let's row around. I want to talk to you about something. And Doc Whiting, his name was, and he said to me, because I was doing that dumb blonde wig role, the first, and he said to me, I just want to talk to you about. I think you're going to go places, and I worry that you'll end up like Marilyn Monroe. Actually, had this discussion. And he said, and I just want you not to get caught up in it. I want you to just hang on to who you are, and don't let anyone use you or let it get away from you in any way. And it was a very sweet, fatherly, and head of the theater department talk that I'll always remember.
But, one thing you don't mention, and I'm curious if it happened to you, none of these stories have somebody trying to grab your breasts or make a move on you or whatever. Was that happening, or did you put it out there that that's not happening, so don't even bother?
Here is what I always thought. I had my speech ready, and I was ready to I was physically fit, and I thought I was going to have to fight somebody off sometime. And I was just ready, and it never happened. And
so are you wondering what's wrong with me that nobody wants?
Like I'm not appealing. And so I asked Hugh Wilson, who, of course, the genius who created WKRP. I told him this. Said, well, nobody, because Jan was talking about all the casting couch mishaps, Jan Smithers, who played Bailey Quarters. And I'm thinking, well, nobody ever said that to me or did that to me.
I'd be a little insulted.
Yeah, I am kind of. And so, and I was ready. And so I said to Hugh, what's the deal? What? And he said, there's no in your eyes.
Wow.
What? And so he even wrote it into one of the WKRPs where I say something about Herb Tarr, like I'm talking to Johnny. And I said, do you know what he said to me? That my lips say no, but there's yes in my eyes. Do you see yes anywhere in there? It says, nope. And so it was a discussion that we had. Hugh sometimes used what we were talking about and put it in the show.
As good shows do.
Yeah. And so I guess I just
Gave off no.
Yeah. Didn't
But
happen.
it seems like, again, you're so gorgeous. You're in that lion's den where power, particularly at that point, was so important, the casting couch and all that. And it never really happened.
No. And then, of course, later, remember, like in 1982 on, I'm with Burt Reynolds. Don't
Yes.
cross him. Don't cross him. This is a guy that's, nobody crossed Burt.
No, but the other thing that I found so fascinating, again, ups and downs with Burt, but the one thing that I grabbed out of his autobiography, and I thought this was so fascinating because, again, doesn't have any reason to say something nice if he doesn't want to say it. It seems like he goes out of his way to say, she's damn good at comedy, and the part of an intelligent blonde was perfect for her. I'd never seen anyone quite so striking. Now, this is after everything with Burt, and he's still admitting this. So that tells me that, again, this character you created and this impact you made on people obviously had to be pretty strong.
It was, and I think the reason that he was interested in our relationship in the first place, and meeting me and taking me out.
Yeah, you seem like you were a challenge too,
and that was very appealing to Burt. He was always. He said to me, "If you're ever jealous of anybody, don't look at the prettiest girl in the room. Look at the smartest girl in the room, and you'll know that that's what I'm attracted to, or the funniest girl in the room."
Right. Okay, but we're going to go back to Jayne Mansfield. So how did you get the Jayne Mansfield movie? How did this all come about?
I'm on WKRP, and I'm very successful on that. And Alan Landsberg, who was producing the show, they offered it to me. And so it was my movie to make or not. And,
oh, wow.
And I said, absolutely. And but
was there a script? Did you know what it could be?
They sent me the script. I loved it, and we had a meeting. And I said, you know what? I know this might sound crazy to you, but I really can't do the movie unless we have the right Mickey, because Mickey, you can't just cast an actor and put a muscle suit on him or something. You're going to have a real. Mickey's very important, and it's Mickey's story. And
especially the way that script was written.
It was actually Mickey's, the real Mickey said, yeah, this is my story, and this is what I want to be told.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So it was his story. And so I said, I have seen this guy, Arnold Schwarzenegger. He's a big celebrity guy. But I think he keeps talking about wanting to be an actor, and I would really like to meet with him and have all of us meet with him. Because to me, unless we have somebody like Arnold, this movie just can't be made.
There's no movie, right?
Yeah, there's no movie. And so we all went to dinner, and I think it was La Scala in Beverly Hills, and the paparazzi were everywhere. And I kept thinking, Arnold is very smart, and he's funny. And he's funny in 2 languages. And you just realize there's so much more to Arnold than meets the eye, right? Besides that incredible physique, and great. But you could hardly understand a word he said. So that was going to be the problem. And that he had never acted before. But he wanted it so badly. He wanted to be good. And so they cast him, and it was brilliant. Because there were times, we'd start the scene, they'd say, rolling, okay, action, and Arnold would speak, and I would just go, what? And
can I tell you, there was a scene where I had to go back. I had to go back and play one scene 3 times because I was having trouble understanding him. So, yes, I went through this last night.
Well, everybody said that. And of course, we go back to the makeup trailer and the girls, the makeup and the hair, and everybody would say, oh, poor Arnold, he has no whatsoever. He's just so darling. But, we don't see anything happening for him. And how we,
little did they know.
Little did we know. Anyway, he was so eager and wanted to be good. and such a joy to work with. We had a wonderful time. We had a wonderful relationship. He was going with Maria at that time. So I got to meet her. Mm-hmm. And what an incredible experience. And as I said, we had a scene in it. It's the fighting and making love scene. Mm-hmm. And Arnold, not being an actor, was having trouble with the script. The dialogue was too stilted. It was supposed to be passionate. It was supposed to be, I was drunk and I was throwing myself out the window, and he was supposed to be trying to stop me, but he loves me so much. And so he grabs me and takes me to the bed, so it's the fighting and scene. And so they kept saying, putting it off to like the very last shot of the week. And, we kept trying it and trying. We started in the morning. We worked on the scene. They had the blocking down, and you'd move to the X, and it just seemed it just wasn't working. Mm-hmm. And so the director came to me and he said, you know what? I'm going to shoot this with just a steady cam. So this is a guy in the...
And follow you guys.
Yeah, follow us every. And I'm going to tell you, this is what I wanted to start with, and this is what I wanted to end with. And you guys just play with it. Do your own dialogue. Do whatever
your own blocking.
Your own blocking. Anywhere you want to go, anything you want to say. We are just letting the two of you loose. And by the way, here is a breakaway glass for you to have your booze sloshing around in, and you do whatever you want with it, right? And I said to Arnold, are you in? This is the end of the day. We're exhausted and this isn't working. And he said, I'm in. And so we started the scene, and I said, we have to get into a big, big fight. And then we have to end up on that bed, like passionately making love. Mm-hmm. Let's go. And so we started it, and it was just working. It was a one take deal. The guys got the camera running around us, and I'm drunk and saying whatever comes out of our mouths. And I took the glass and I threw it at him, and he's like a building, and it shattered on his back. And it was just stunning, and then I threw myself at him and I beat on him. And then he picks me up and starts kissing me and throws me on the heart-shaped bed. Mm-hmm. And we start this making love thing, and it's just like out of hand. And finally I'm thinking, cut, And so I said, cut. And the director said, oh, I say cut. And I said, no, I'm saying cut.
I'm saying cut.
We're really into it here. And, but it was just so great. And I had hematomas from my wrists to my elbows on both arms from beating on him, because it'd be like going out and beating on a brick building. Yeah. And Arnold was so upset, and he was holding ice on my arms. And we went to the motorhome, and he was just like taking care of me and saying he was sorry, but it ended up to be so incredibly fabulous. And the whole crew came to my motorhome, and we all had a glass of champagne that Arnold had sent in, and toasted the fact that everybody had worked so hard for that scene too.
Well, since you brought it up, I happen to have the scene right here.
Oh my God.
So I'll drink my champagne, and people at home can watch the scene. Okay, here it is.
Okay.
What the hell are you doing?
They just want to see me.
Or they see too much.
Get your hands off me, you big ape. Those are my fans. They love me.
Stop it.
Oh, now that we're married, my big man wants it all to himself.
Don't you understand? You're looking like a sideshow out there.
I'm a sideshow. You're the one who lifts weights. You think that's a class act?
Oh, now I know. It's the vodka talking.
Don't you dare walk away from me.
Are you crazy? Don't you see how ridiculous you look out there posing with your nightgown on for the tourists?
You don't own me. They love me. They want to see me. They're my public.
Well, then sell tickets. Why don't you? Popcorn, the whole works. Just like our wedding.
Look who's talking. You'd still be one of Mae West chorus boys if it weren't for me. I hate you!
Stop it! Stop it!
I hate you! I wish I never married you, Mickey!
Stop!
I hate you!
Stop it!
No.
Listen to me, Jayne! Listen to me! I love you! I love you! How many people, how many times do I have to tell you? I love you. Don't you understand that? I love you.
Mickey, I can't help it.
I love you. Let's argue like that.
People at home don't get the fun of this show, which is I get to watch you watching the clip in the background, and you're like look what's going to happen, and then and when the kissing started, you looked a little uncomfortable. It's like, okay, cut.
Yeah. Whoa, hot stuff.
But again, now notice in that scene, you've got two different accents. You've got the divoon boop boopy doo as Jayne, and then as him talking to your husband, a completely different voice.
Yes. And even in the movie, she refers to herself as another person. Jayne would,
there's that scene with Carol where you're talking about the wedding, and she says, do you realize you're talking about Jayne Mansfield as if she's another person?
And I say, she is.
So I wasn't going to get to this right now, but since it's brought up, you did many years later, you did a movie. Where the hell is it? Do I have it here? Watch it. Okay. You did The Gambler 5.
Yes.
Now, you know where I'm going.
Mariska, of course, you're going to Mariska.
Yes, Mariska is in it. So that's my question. Did you ever have a conversation with Mariska?
Okay, so Mariska came to the WKRP set.
Oh, okay, good. This is I didn't know this.
Nobody knows. And to meet me, she and my daughter were in the same sorority, even though they're a few years apart. My daughter's a little younger.
Oh,
but there's a whole, with how things are interwoven. 6 degrees of separation or whatever it is.
Sure, yeah, right.
She came to say how much she appreciated my portrayal of her mother, because she never really knew her mother. So
she was so young.
Her vision of her mother would be me. And because, Mickey met with Arnold. But
he did.
Mickey would not meet with me. He said that it was too close. It would have been too upsetting for him.
Wow.
So, yeah.
So was he on the set? Did he ever watch?
No, he just never. He met with Arnold. And so now years go by, and there's Mariska. She's no longer a college student. She's an actress, and she's the star of Gambler 5. And we were in Galveston, Texas together working on this movie.
And there you are right there in The Gambler 5.
And I play of course, the madam. And so Mariska and she teases, and she's got a great sense of humor. And she was so adorable. And she turned to me in a scene if we went up or we didn't, whatever happened. And she turned to me and say, "Mother, where were you when I needed you?" So we had the whole back and forth going on about me playing her mother. And then one day she said to me, "I have a surprise for you. And I want you to stand right there." And then she turned to the door, and in walked Mickey and his wife. And they had come to Galveston to meet me after all of those years. And it was almost kind of eerie. It was like a family reunion.
He's looking at you.
Yeah. And we all hugged, and we had this woman in common that brought us together like an extended family. And we did pictures and we talked, and it was just the loveliest gift that I could possibly have had from Mariska.
And that, again, I think people should understand that this is got to be 20, 25 years after the movie.
Mm-hmm.
And and for people who don't remember, there you are in the Jayne Mansfield Story.
Yeah.
Of course, one of my favorite pictures.
And mine.
I
think I auctioned that off somewhere.
Well, it's so great because it's sort of at the beginning where Ray's character sees that, oh, she'll do anything for publicity and to be in front of the cameras.
Yeah. She would sit in the window of a store. If she liked a chair, she would go in and say, if I sit in your window in that chair for 3 hours, will you give me that chair?
Did she really do that? Because I know there's the scene with the car.
Absolutely. So that was Jayne. She knew how to work it. You know, if the Kardashians have something to learn from Jayne, she really knew. She was the first. Yeah.
You know, was that when you really became a gay icon? Because it seems to me that the gay community has always looked to you in that way of like a successor to the Marilyns and the Jaynes, even though, again, you're your own type of person, they've always looked to you.
And I'm so flattered by that. And so, I consider that one of the nicest compliments I could possibly get.
Were they always there right from the beginning, or when did you become aware of it?
Very aware, I guess, from the beginning.
Really?
Yeah, from the beginning.
And for people who don't know, you've done a lot of charity work. Yeah. And one of my favorite things you did a calendar for the Elizabeth Taylor AIDS Foundation called 39 and Holding. And you got these amazing actresses to pose for you. Tell people who's in this calendar.
Oh, well, Elizabeth Taylor, of course, is in it. And Suzanne Summers is in it. And
Rita Moreno is in it, I remember.
I mean, we have like incredible women that said yes to doing a beautiful glamour shot. Angie Dickinson,
right, Angie's in it, right.
For AIDS.
Mm-hmm. And here's your photo, which is just extraordinarily beautiful.
Isn't that Robert Tertries designed that gown? He had been
what a great dress
to Bob Mackie.
Oh, sure.
And then became my designer.
And again, it's so well lit and photographed and styled. I mean, it's really, and all the photos are.
You're Mario Caselli. Mario Caselli, the photographer who did lots of Playboy, all the Playboy art.
So now way back.
Yes.
People, I would guess, wanted to put you in an image to just kind of market you. And at one point, I found this photo, and I'm curious what was behind it. There was this photo, which is, look at it, right next to you, Loni. Look at that.
Yeah, there I am. Gosh.
Very similar, Loni.
Thank you.
Maybe next time you can put on the red swimsuit. But this is very sort of reminiscent of Farrah, and then also a predecessor to like Baywatch.
Yes, and so there
with full hair and makeup. I
know for CBS, Tony Esparza, who was the photographer for CBS. Sure. I did 2 swimsuit sessions with him. One in the red swimsuit, and the other one in like a white bikini. And it was.
What year are we looking at?
We're looking at 79.
Oh, so this is early.
Yeah, so it was the poster era.
Right. Was it, when was Farrah's out? Because that was
right. It was before me. So she was the largest selling poster. So everybody thought, oh my God, if this is, we should all
throw Loni in a red bathing suit and take a picture.
And we'll do posters. And so that poster and my white bikini poster and the red swimsuit poster, I think I was number 2, because Farrah was always number 1 in the poster.
So wait a minute. You're telling me this is 40 years ago. Now look at you and look at this poster. 40 years ago? Have you made a pact with me?
Oh my gosh.
Mm-hmm. No, you are like, I don't know, like a vampire or something, because you just are extraordinary.
Thank you, Mom. Thank you, Dad. Because my mom, it's these bones,
Yeah, well, no, you've got amazing bones. And the other thing, and I always say this to people, is that if you've never put on weight, that's, I think, the kiss of death. And you said something very interesting in an interview that Arnold told you about desserts.
Oh yes, and I go back. Thank you, Arnold, because I do this to this day. Arnold saw me with a big ice cream sundae, and my picture was on the cover of a workout magazine or something while we were doing Jayne Mansfield. And he came to my knock on my door of my motorhome, and he came in with this magazine and he threw it on the floor and he jumped all over it and said, "You're a fraud," because I was eating a donut, and so anyway, then he gave me this whole lecture, and I had this ice cream sundae, and he said, really, what you want is after the first bite, it's just indulgence. You've had the taste. Right. You've indulged yourself the taste that you wanted, and the rest of it doesn't matter. So just take one bite. That's enough.
And are you able to do that?
And I remember that. And to this day, I've only been maybe a 5-pound difference in my career. I can still get into those same gowns that I wore in the 70s and 80s. And is it discipline, or is it ambition, or is it pride? Vanity. Yep. Part of vanity. But it's also, I'm not a drinker or a smoker, and I'm very health conscious. My parents died very young. They were 4-pack-a-day smokers and heavy drinkers. Oh, really? And what was that time? And I did for 10 years. I was the spokesperson for COPD and traveled all over the country in a non-smoking campaign with oncologists and everything else. It was very close to my heart. And so I think part of it is wanting to be healthy and seeing what they had gone through. The other part is vanity, and that you still get in the business you're in. And the business I'm in, yep. And so, yeah, a lot of things drive that. Have your looks kept you from certain roles? Because I saw a lot of range. Every video I watched, I went, my God, she can do anything. But she can do anything that she has the opportunity to do. Are those opportunities given to you? No. That's in a word, no. In a word, no. I once said to Grant Tinker, who had been, there and instrumental at the beginning of everything, I said, Grant, what I really want to do is I want to do a movie. This is like when he was the head of NBC. I want to do a movie, and I want to be brunette. And I want to be like a bag lady and unrecognizable and stuff. And I want a story that's really meaty and everything. And he just looked at me like I had gone insane and said, you think, how crazy would that be for me to spend all that money not to have Loni Anderson in my movie? Right. And I knew it. From then on, I kind of knew it, no matter if I begged. I have a friend who's a producer of a great big time show on TV that I will all remain nameless. And I have begged to be a bag lady on that show, or just be uncredited, to just go under the radar. And they always say, but if we're going to use you, we want the publicity. We want the Loni Anderson out of it. Right. I remember there's a story about Dietrich. Oh, I forget the film was that she did with Wells towards the end. And nobody knew she was in it. The prosecution. Yes, right. No, not Witness for the No, it's the Western. And nobody knew she was even in it. It was like Faces of Death or something. And nobody said she was in it. At the end, the studio said, wait, that's Dietrich. And they said, how much are we paying her? And she said, uncredited, this price. You want to put my name on the credits? You pay Dietrich prices. Right. And so far, nobody's let me do that. If you're listening. And it's so, I think that really what I have found in looking at your work is that if they give you a chance, you can do pretty much anything. Didn't you do a made-for-TV movie as a brunette who was like investigating her husband's death, or I don't know. But I was a model, a brunette model, and I find out my husband's in the mob, and he wants and you have to go undercover. And I have to go undercover as a blonde and try and get my phone back. And I killed a lot of husbands in those TV movies. The wonderful police presence on the set was always taking me to a range somewhere and teaching me how to use a gun. So I'm really good. Speaking of husbands, you're on a Husband 4. Is this 4? And this is a real, see, now I hear him laughing in the background. It's a real love story. Only because it makes me sound so much more interesting than I really am.
Again, I'm reading it and I'm like, really, all that seems to really, well, I guess they all matter in their own way, because the first one, while it was so short, gave you your daughter.
Yes.
The second one I don't know much about. Was there
No, it was an
anything
actor.
memorable?
Yeah, we came to Hollywood together.
All right,
We
so you got me to Hollywood.
Minnesota. We decided to make that move together, and I don't think I would have done it without him. So he's very important.
All right, so that's fine. And then we got Burt.
We got Burt, and Burt, I was with Burt a long time before we got married, but we wanted.
Yeah, you were together longer than you were married, right? Were you together, what, 12 years?
Together 6 years, and then we were married for 5. So we were like, and almost 12 years we were together all together.
And it was what I don't think people today realize is what you went through at that time. Not with I guess with the marriage as well, because together they must have gone crazy. But certainly when you broke up, it exploded. And that had to, because that was rare at the time for people, the paparazzi and all the magazines, to have you on the cover every week.
I know. It was crazy when I think once in a while, my son, I have a son with Burt, and we discuss it and what it was and how insane it was. But then
does he remember any of it?
Not really.
He was so young. I think, what was he, 5 when you?
4. Yeah.
4. Okay.
And so, he was almost 5, and he doesn't really. He always has little snippets, but. Burt had drug issues, which everybody knew, and especially at the end of our marriage. So Quentin remembers some scary moments with him at the end of our marriage.
Isn't that terribly sad that he doesn't have positive moments? He can't, like, I can picture, no matter what my family went through, I can picture good, I can picture bad. I have those memories.
I am the keeper of the flame. I have all the movies from the 12 years we were together.
Oh, did you do that? Oh, wow.
And there's a biography that is going to be airing. I think Paramount is doing it, and it has all of that love in it. So since Quentin and I have been involved in that, and I have said, we're just going to look back on this and only remember the good, because that's who he was. He was a magical, huge movie star, and he loved you. The reason we got married was so we could have you. And, you were our reason for being a couple. And you have to know that I wasn't with a nutcase for 12 years. I was with this man that I loved, and he was.
And you wouldn't have a child if you thought he was a nutcase.
So we have really explored that, even more so since Burt's death, I think. And
were you in touch with him towards the end?
Yes. And, even as he would say just crazy, awful things about me. And then I would talk to him and I'd say, what? And he would say, oh, I don't know. But, that's when you're altered, things.
Right.
But he still would, even toward the end of his life, still say, meet me in the parking lot at 2 a.m. at such and such. I need to run something by you.
Well, I got that in his book. But it's funny because I went through your book, I went through Burt's book, and what I remember about that time, I don't remember really focusing on it, but what I remember vividly was a lot of mud being slung at you and you not defending yourself. And I thought that if I went through these books, maybe I'd get an idea as to why. And the only thing that comes to mind is that you were thinking down the road that your son would look back at things that you may say. Absolutely. And the only thing you could control is yourself. Is that accurate?
You are so right on the money. That's completely accurate. And so I don't have any of that to come back to haunt me.
Yeah, and what you said about Burt is interesting, because in his book, again, I read this quote about how gorgeous you were, how great you are at comedy. mixed in with negativity. And you can see even at that point where he isn't on drugs, but there's obviously been damage that is irreparable, and anger that he's held on to. He writes very little about you in his book, which is probably for the best, frankly. But it's very, again, it flip-flops a lot. And he talks about that he'll sort of say something, well, I didn't want to do this, Loni made me do this, but I'm really glad I did this. And I'm like, well, I don't know what's going on there, but it sounds like a lot of it was really positive, that you had really good instincts when it came to him, when you came to your child.
Yes. And that's what we had. And that I also I want Quentin to know, and I wanted Quentin to see. And we had dinner with Burt just a few years before he died as a family. And what a lovely, interesting evening. And then I wanted Quentin to see the warmth between us.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, if somebody is altered, then you never know what's true and what's not true. But in person, I wanted him to see that warmth was there.
In the book, Burt talks about that one of his, regrets, one of the things he's proudest of is his son. And one of the regrets was that he didn't have a better relationship with him, and that his son maybe didn't see him as a fully formed person. Did they end up having a better relationship, or is it now just on reflection that Quentin has to learn this on his own?
They did end up having a better relationship.
Good.
Quentin is 32 years old. So,
oh my God! Isn't that shocking?
Yeah, that's shocking. So Burt has been gone for 2 years, almost 3 years, and so Quentin was a whole grown-up person, and he first of all chosen a career in film. He had gone to college, he was a cameraman, and
editor too. Yeah,
and then he came to me one day and said, "I'm going to go back to school and do the thing that I've always wanted to do, and that is to be a first responder." So he's an EMT.
Oh, wow.
So he's out there on the front lines by EMT.
Wow, and, good for him.
So proud of him. But part of that might have been the fact that because Burt had so much illness, that he wanted to take care of him. So right at the end of Burt's life, Quentin was very instrumental in bringing me into it, and we were looking to move him to Los Angeles from Florida.
He was still in Florida, right?
And he was in Florida, to take care of him. Yeah.
And it also seems to me that helping others maybe can fill the fact that he couldn't save his father.
Yes. Yep. He says that. So if I just could have gotten him here sooner, if I could have done this, if I could have done that. But we talk about the fact that, a lot of us tried to save Burt. And
and there's only so much somebody can do.
So much you can do. Yeah.
Last question about Burt, and it's none of my business, but in the will, he excludes Quentin, but mentions, it seems to me, because everyone's like, oh, he disinherits his son, but it sounds like he set up this huge trust for him before the will. So is Quentin taken care of?
Quentin has his name and likeness, because Burt had no money.
So, that's right at the end.
So there was nothing at the end except his name and likeness, which belongs to.
So maybe by not having Quentin in the will, it protects him from any creditors, perhaps.
It does. Yes, it does.
Oh, see, so people say negative things and they're like, oh, Burt hated his son, he's not in the will. And I'm like, well, why wouldn't he be? Let's think about this.
Yeah.
Okay, so then let's go back to your career.
Okay.
So, because you are much more interesting. One of my favorite things that you did, and we talked about the red bathing suit, we talk about that a precursor to Baywatch. You played Pamela Anderson's mother in VIP.
Yes, and I asked to do that, and Pamela.
Really? I was wondering whose idea that was.
And I said, you know, people call me Pamela all the time, Pamela. So, and she said, oh, people call me Loni too. So I said, all right,
Oh, really?
you know what I want? I want to play your mother. And she said, you're too young to be my mother. I said, I would play your mother if you were a year older than I am, because it's just a good idea. And so that was on VIP, her show. And of course, in the show, she dresses me like her. And I'm in those gigantic heels, which are so dangerous, I have to say. How she
And the hair.
Oh my gosh, and the hair, and yeah, more and more hair. Get the bag of hair and just put it in the hair, and in the tight clothes and the high shoes and
the midriff and everything.
I know, and we got to do a stunt together. And
but what's fascinating about it, and again, I think of you that really you must have studied this, or you have this ear. You speak like her, or you speak like her character. And I don't know, do you try to do this, or do you just hang around people and you pick up their speech patterns?
Maybe a little of both.
Maybe.
But it is because I think, you know, I come from Minnesota and I don't have a Minnesota accent.
Not at all.
I started working on sounding like different places and different people when I was much younger. So so that I would not be pigeonholed. So I think
it also seems like it would be fun for you too.
It's very fun.
So let's show a clip of you and Pam in action, because it's so funny. It is so funny.
Val, my dear sweet baby, if we ever get out of this...
Mom, look, there's no need to apologize.
No, I want to tell you about your father.
He didn't help the Bulgarians with his tsetse flies, did he?
Nor the Bolivians. He was a painter.
Oh, really? No, I always felt artistic. One time I took a pottery class at UCLA Extension. I was really good at it.
He was a house painter. And he was so lousy at it, they demoted him to garage painter.
Oh, so is that a crime?
To him, yes. He had such big dreams. So one day he just left.
You mean Dad's alive?
I haven't heard from him in 22 years. Dear, your hair looks just fine. Although personally, I like it better when it's a little straighter.
Mom! Okay. You know, Nikki and Tasha keep telling me about this bodyguard stuff. I'm just hoping that some of it sinks in. You know, like that time I fell asleep listening to Moby Dick on tape and I woke up and I knew how to heat and store blubber.
Oh.
Oh my God. So
you look like you could be your sister. I mean, you really do.
Thank you. Thank you so much. That was so fun. I've been the mother of such beautiful girls. Oh my goodness. You know, I played Denise Richards' mother in an arc of Melrose Place. So
yes, right.
Beautiful daughter. We were sleeping our way through beauty pageants. And so then, you know, I've had, Ariel Winter was little Tori on So NoTORIous.
Well, okay. So speaking of which, we have a clip of you in So NoTORIous as Tori's mother.
Okay.
And actually, I think it's with little Tori, so it's not even really with Tori. So and this is a very interesting thing, because you obviously know Candy, and while you're not playing Candy, obviously people assume that it's slightly based on her.
Mm-hmm.
So let's show the clip, and then we'll talk. We had to show the whole clip. Is that Ariel Winter? Is that Ariel?
That's Ariel Winter. Little Tori.
I had no idea.
I know. Isn't she darling? She's so cute.
Oh, she's so good. Now, again, So NoTORIous, for people who don't know, was sort of a spoof of a reality show. And it's an exaggerated version of Tori and a very fictionalized version of Candy, who you know. So that's going to be odd.
Yes. I kept saying, I'm playing Kiki.
Yes, you are.
Just like way bizarre and away from Candy, you know.
Yeah.
Take a lot of license to go extreme with Candy.
And it doesn't even look like you try to look like her, sound like her. You really create a completely different character.
Completely different character, yeah. Kiki.
Yeah. And did you enjoy doing that show?
We had the most fun. And after Aaron died, and of course, then the show was canceled because it was really hard to do a show not deal with his death and everything else. It was too complicated. And so I remember Tori and I sobbing over each other at the end of the shoot because we got so close.
It was a fun show. People also should know that Zachary Quinto was in it as her gay friend.
No, before Spock and everything.
Before anything, I know. And now you've been doing this other series, My Sister Is So Gay, where you're playing the mother of 2 children, but a gay man.
A gay man and a daughter who just hasn't quite realized that she's gay yet.
And is very difficult.
Yes. And difficult children, but I love them. And I am perpetually tipsy.
Yes, you are.
I don't even know who their dads are. I'm kind of like, I'm not sure. And, but I love them and I want to be in their lives, and they would like me not to be so much in their lives, but I'm there and I'm doing it out of love.
And it seems like something that, again, it was a little bit ahead of its time. It started 2 years ago and it was a web series, and people can see it on Amazon Prime. And how did that come about?
Okay. So Terry Ray and Wendy Michaels, who wrote the show and played the children. Well, Terry they were both students of Charles Nelson Riley's.
Oh, okay.
And so he was their idol and he was their mentor and their teacher. And when they wrote the series for themselves, they said, we need to get somebody to play our mother who also loved Charles. And then Terry came to me and said, would you do this? And I read it and said, yes, absolutely. I'm in.
Really?
I'm so excited that you were so fond of Charles, because as was I.
Oh, he was amazing. So I'm going to just show a clip from this, which is from the 2nd season, which people can't see on Amazon. And so to set it up, Loni is trying to find out a little bit more about her gay son's relationship. Let's just say it that way.
Yeah.
It's the binocular scene.
Oh my gosh. And he's so handsome. My gay son's boyfriend. Oh, yes.
And whether he's gay or not, you still are enjoying the view.
Absolutely.
Okay, here's a clip.
Oh, it's Bo. Oh, he's naked. Oh, give me that. Give me that. Oh my gosh. Oh, I wish he'd just come out from behind the counter. Oh, that would be so
Okay,
good.
again, he's your future son-in-law.
Oh, I'm only thinking of Seth. According to topbanana.com, power bottoms often struggle in a relationship if their partner isn't a big slugger.
Yeah, I don't know what you just said.
I want my baby to be happy.
All right, maybe we shouldn't spy.
No, Amanda, it's in the Patriot Act. I just need Bo to come around the counter.
Again, you're just so funny, and you're just so naturally funny. How much of that is scripted?
They're fabulous writers, but they also say, go with it. Just like
play.
Yeah, play. And of course, the whole binoculars around her neck, that just happened.
And you enjoyed that.
And that was just so fun that they were around her neck, and I just kept pulling her around as I was trying to get a view of him. So yeah, it's playtime. And you know what? I say this as an older actress because we have nothing left to prove usually by this time, is that you say, I only want to go somewhere where I want to come out and play, with people I like, where it's fun, challenging, and because that's what I want to do. And I get to.
Unless you got to play a bag woman, in which case you do it for the role.
If there's a bag lady out there, I'm on. I'm in it.
Okay, we've got so many comments. First, lovelier than ever. Wow. So there you go. You're a wow. Oh, well, this is some very interesting. She looks absolutely gorgeous. I saw her recently in person at the Burt Reynolds estate auction and couldn't believe how good she still looks. I could have done without the still, but all right.
It's a wonderful thing to have them say still, because I always say it's so funny because when you're young and the workmen whistle at you when you go by and you go, oh, and then when you get older, you go, oh, thank you. It's just a
perspective.
Yes, perspective.
Did I hear that you were up for designing women when Delta Burke left?
Well, not that I knew of. I guess.
Oh, okay. But I read it somewhere.
That maybe that has come out in from other people, but nobody ever told me.
Because you would have been so funny on that show.
I think so.
Evening Shade. Were you ever considered for Mary Lou's part? Because you were with Burt at the time, right?
Yes, we were married at the time, as a matter of fact. And sometimes people get distracted by people who are really married working together. And I think that was one of the reasons we discussed it and said, are people going to be too caught up in our marriage and not being able to separate your character from the characters on the show? And so that it's always better to have an actress play the wife.
Yeah, I'm curious, given the marriage, if that would have been a good thing or would it have made it a bad thing quicker?
Well, I don't know.
It can go either way, I guess.
Because sometimes you bring the difficulties to work if you're a married couple, and that's not the script that Linda Bloodworth and Harry Thomason were writing. So I think it was better to keep that separate, because the very last year of Evening Shade is when we split up.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
You've been doing not lately, because nobody's been doing anything lately. But you've done a few of these collector shows and these autograph shows, sometimes with the cast of WKRP, sometimes on your own. Is that something you like, getting out and meeting the fans, the longtime fans?
Here's something I thought about, because fan mail is kind of a thing of the past.
Yeah, right.
And so I'm not a social media person. I'm from an era of, I'm private at home, and when I'm public, I'm public. And so Barbara Eden is a really good friend of mine and has been for years. And she was doing the autograph show thing. And I said, oh, yeah, it just makes me feel kind of squidgy. And she said, but these people love you, and they're not going to get to see you any other way. This might be the only time in their entire life that they get to see you. And then the other thing that was a draw to me was to be able to do a show with Howard, especially Howard and Jan and Tim, because it's really the four of us. Gordon Jump has passed away, and Gary Sandy is really not interested, and Richard Sanders is not interested, and Frank Bonner is not interested. So, we have just four of the cast who are not available to us. But Tim and Howard and Jan and I have had a blast. And it's almost like somebody gets us together for a reunion. It's what a special time. And then to see people react to us with that kind of love that we just didn't even know that they felt.
And after so many years, they're so devoted.
I'm going through the airport and somebody yells from, you're going through TSA and somebody's way down the line and they go, as God is my witness, I thought turkeys could fly. That wasn't even my line,
but you're in the episode.
But I'm in the episode, right? And so if you do something that's meaningful to people that they either grew up with, or I'm Jennifer because I was named after you from WKRP.
Well, it must have been a big name then, right?
Yeah. And so those things that mean a lot to people, or thank you from women everywhere that you made such a breakthrough character, and we all got to benefit from it. Those things are just
well, and also it's something to do, because I think that really, like we were talking before the show about how this really exacerbates the point that we're just sort of sitting around waiting for something to happen. And any opportunity that comes along to interact with people and be vital today, I think is a good thing.
Yeah. This show that you're doing, what a great idea, because this would be like if you did a fan show and somebody got to ask a question or make a comment. This is not happening. Show business is closed.
Right. And this is it. We're making it up as we go along.
No personal appearances. That's like the last thing that's going to come back. My husband is a musician. Concerts are like the last thing that are going to come. People singing all mashed together. When is that going to happen again? And so, so this is fun, and we get to reminisce.
Is there a bucket list item that you think to yourself, like, I've never done, or I'd like to do again, a play, or I'd like to do a musical, or something like that you haven't done that you like to, because you like to challenge yourself?
Yes. Aside from the Bag Lady, I'm thinking, I would love to do a musical on stage.
Really?
I did one about 20 years ago. I did Gentlemen Prefer Blondes on stage just to see if I could still do it, because you singing and dancing 8 shows.
It's a lot of work.
Woo, and
Did you enjoy it?
And I loved it. It was so much fun. And as a matter of fact, Barbara Eden followed me in a show. She was in Best Little Whorehouse in Texas. So,
well, funny that you mentioned that. I saw Gary Sandy do it with Anne Margaret.
Yes, and so did I. I went to see it.
Did you? And I read in your book that you and Gary were quite a hot item.
We were a hot item, and
that would have been a hot looking couple.
Yeah, we were really cute. Too hot not to cool down, I always say. But I love him, and we worked in the same show together, and we are still friends. I would.
Oh, Loni, I lost you. Hold on a second. Wait, we lost Loni. Okay, go back, Loni.
Okay, so I said it's only been about a week since the last time I talked to Gary. We keep in touch with one another, as do Howard and I, and and Daphne Maxwell Reed, his wife, and
right.
So yeah, and I talked to Frank not too long ago too. So we're just a family. We're a little family.
People keep texting. I love Loni. Well, there you go. I think that says it all. I want to look like Loni when I grow up. Thank you, Bobby Trendy. Loni, you're a vision and so fantastic to sit and visit with. I don't know if I could have even said it better. I almost hesitate to show anything else because it's almost a perfect way to end. Well, there is this, just hearts.
Oh, that's nice. Thank you.
I really must say that, and you and I had talked, but I want the audience to know that I've only asked people to be on who I either personally knew or really liked and really thought to myself, this is somebody I'd want to know more about. And I thought that about you. And then once I started watching everything last night, things that I hadn't seen for years or things I never heard of. We never even talked about Linda Carter. Partners in Crime. Did you enjoy that? It was like a feminine version of Cagney and Lacey.
We were running up and down those hills of San Francisco in our high heels and our little short skirts saying freeze. It was just so much fun. And she's a friend to this day. Absolutely. We just were very, very close and we had so much fun doing it. That's too bad that didn't go on.
Yeah, and that was a really fun show. And I watched a couple of episodes last night. Anyway, but we're not starting another thing.
Like my husband. I put bass in it. Yeah. So he has a picture of me with my bass.
Oh, that's right. You have the bass in the convertible back.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's right. Oh, Loni, you know everything. And again, I think what people should know is that, again, you're so versatile. Look at this. This person just heard, I have every episode of Partners in Crime on VHS. Ari Gold. I'm going to need those.
Oh my gosh.
That is so great. Wow. Loni, these people there, I didn't even know they existed. I don't have VHS then.
For letting us know. How nice is that?
Oh, geez. Loni, you have been a delight. I could talk to you forever. I've already gone like a half hour over than I said I was going to, but
fun.
I know we really are. Loni, thank you for doing this. This has been great. And, hopefully we will be able to see each other again in person one of these days.
We will. Think of it that way. There will come a time. We'll have a vaccine and we'll all be able to resume our show business lives.
And until then, everyone has to take care of themselves. They have to vote. Vote.
Yeah. Vote. Wear your mask.
Wear your mask.
And
stay away from people.
Everybody that you love. Remember, everybody you love.
Loni, thank you. You have been a delight. I have enjoyed every second of this. Thank you for doing the show.
Thank you.
Take care. Bye-bye, Loni.
Bye.
And thank you to your husband for helping us out, our tech.
I will tell him, yes, because he has that attack. He's standing right there.
I know he is. That's why you look so damn good.
He's good.
Thanks, Loni. Take care. Have a great day.
Bye.
Everyone, thank you for watching the show. Oh my God, look at this. Billy, you bring out the queens. Well, that's what I do, Virginia. Virginia from HBO, formerly of HBO. They all watch this show. Everybody, thank you for watching. This has been Billy Masters Live. Thursday, we have the writer and producer of Shooting Star. They're doing a benefit for the Actors Fund. So we will celebrate them on Thursday at 3 p.m. Noon Pacific. And we're here every Tuesday and Thursday, 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific. Thank you for watching Billy Masters Live. And remember, if we're here, we're live. Take care, everybody. Oh, wait, I need my exit music. Where's my music? Oh, my God, everything is all over the place. Okay, Monica, you just take it over. Goodbye.